Good morning, and welcome to another Aquarium Online Academy. Just give us one moment. All right, welcome back to another Aquarium Online Academy. My name is Lourdes, and in the studio, I also have the wonderful and amazing Karina and Sonia behind the camera, helping me out with all the animals that we're going to see today. It is currently 9:02 a.m. here in Long Beach, California, September 30th. I'm getting ahead of myself. So if you are watching live with us right now, that's awesome. You can help participate. And we'll get that number popping up right on the screen just below in a minute, so you can send in your questions, observations, or anything else you want to share with us. There it is right there. So you can text us at 562-286-1838. Now, if you're watching after the fact, that is perfectly A-okay and awesome. We'd still love to hear from you. And you can email those questions at live@lbaop.org. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into today's video. So today we're going to be talking about ABCs under the sea. So we're going to be going through our ABCs. We're also talking about some awesome animals that start with a lot of those letters. Are you ready to get started? Awesome. All right, so to get started, we got to get to our first letter. And our first letter is going to get us to our first animal. So what's the first letter in the alphabet? Yeah, A! Exactly. A is the first letter. And let's see what animal Karina has for us. Let's see. Can you think of any animals with the letter A? Ooh, this one right here. Do you recognize this fish? It's a fish which starts with F, so not A. We're looking a bit more specific. Yeah, this is an angelfish. A for angelfish. So say that with me again. Angelfish. Awesome. It's a pretty long name to spell out, and if we were to spell it out, we'd be doing Angelfish. Angelfish. So let's talk about this amazing creature right behind me. First of all, what do we notice? What do we see with the colors? Are they boring colors? No, they're really bright and colorful, totally. Especially this blue and yellow right around the body. That is part of its coloration. Now, if it's got colors like that, what kind of animal, where do you think that animal lives? Maybe in tropical waters? Like coral reefs? Yeah, definitely. So this animal, this angelfish, usually typically lives in warm waters. So think like coral reefs where you would see a lot of brightly colored animals. That's where our fish is going to see. Now, we're talking about colors a lot, but what about the shape? I'm going to step off screen again. What shapes do you notice? Is this a circle-shaped fish? No, huh? I do see some circles. But is it sharp or like kind of rounded? Yeah, a little rounded. We're seeing some triangles, some circles, even some squiggles going on right over here at the mouth. Totally. All right. Now, looking at our angelfish, we got some colors, we got some shapes, and we also know where this friend typically lives. But I wonder what it eats. Do you know what an angelfish eats? Yeah. So they kind of eat a lot of different things. That makes them omnivores because they're eating both animals and plants. Can you say that word with me? Omnivores. I know, another really big word. Awesome. So they sometimes eat small invertebrates. Think like small crabs or worms, right? Or they also eat algae, so plants, underwater plants. All right, that's our angelfish. That's for our letter A. So one more time, A for angelfish. All right, so we got A. What comes after A? B. Let's see what our animal is for B. I'm going to step to the side so we can get the animal. Whoa. Do you know who this friend is behind me? All around me? Yeah, it's a sea star. But just like the angelfish, we want to be a bit more specific, right? Because we're looking for an animal that starts with B. B. Right behind me is the bat star. Say that with me. Bat star. Exactly. So, let's spell that out. Ready? Bat star. B-A-T-S-T-A-R. Bat star. I wish I could have some letters right in front of me, but we'll just have to use our imagination for that. Or if you can write along with me. Or have a parent write along with you, or an adult. That way, you can kind of see the words as we go through them. All right, fantastic. So, B for bat star, right behind me. I'm going to step to the side again. And what do you notice about this animal? Let's start with the colors. Do you see that they have all the same color? No, they're kind of different, huh? I see some oranges, some pinks, even a white all the way at the top. So we know bat stars come in a lot of different colors, which is really awesome. What else do you notice about my friends? Did you see how many arms they have? How many arms do you have? See, I have 1 and 2, so I got 2 arms. Let's count one of my bat stars behind me. Let's actually do this friend right here. This orange friend. Let's count. 1, 2, oops, slow down. 3, 4, and 5. 5 arms. Bat stars usually have 5 arms. But you might notice my friend right over here, looks like that one might have more. That's because sometimes when a sea star loses an arm, they'll regrow a new one. But what could happen is they might grow an extra one. They might get a little confused and then they end up with 6 arms, which is perfectly fine. It doesn't hurt to have more arms. So my friend right over here, if we were to see that whole image, we'd be able to see that that star has 6 arms. But usually, they only have 5. All right. Now, do you know how bat stars move around? Do they swim around kind of like this? No, they definitely don't. Do you think they, like, stand up and walk around? No, that'd be silly. Well, how they move is actually really interesting. They have these things called tube feet right underneath. So we can't really see them here in this picture because they're lying on their tube feet. And it's just these tiny, tiny little feet underneath along all their arms that are really, really sticky. And that's how they kind of move around. And they kind of move around kind of like side to see them just like that. Maybe a little movement with the arms. Yeah, that'd be great. All right, see, Karina's got, oh, perfect. We can talk about this. So one, immediately, we see those 2 feet. You see those dots all along the arms? That's their 2 feet. Again, super sticky, allows them to move, and also allows them to stick onto the rocks that they like to hang out on, right? You go to a tide pool, or even if you visit us here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, you'll be able to meet some of our bat stars, and you'll see how well they stick to the surface because of those 2 feet. Now, there's also something really interesting right here. Do you know what this is? If you said its mouth, you're really close. This is actually its stomach. Yeah. So let's actually talk about how bat stars eat. So they'll find food, either something small enough for them to grab, and they'll kind of walk over it or use their 2 feet to grab it and pull it towards its mouth, which is going to be usually right here. But this stuff right here is its stomach. And that is because once it has its food, it doesn't eat the food into its mouth immediately. It actually does something really interesting. It takes its stomach out and it'll put the food into its stomach to digest. And And the stomach will kind of hang out outside of its body until it's done digesting, and then let's put its stomach back inside. That's kind of crazy, huh? I can't imagine if I had to take my stomach out to eat something. I would have to be stuck at lunch for like ever. But that's not worry for the bat stars. They're kind of just hanging out on their rocks, right? Or maybe moving to a new spot. But that's some interesting facts about our bat stars. So far we've done A for angelfish and B for bat star. What letter comes next? C. Totally. Do you know any animals that start with C? Let's see what we have, all right? Ooh, I'm going to move to the side this way because my friend wants to take my spot over there. What's this? What's behind me? A crab. Did you say crab too? Awesome. Yeah. So C for crab. Let's say that. Crab. Exactly. And if we were to spell that out, let's get those letters out. Ready? C R A B. Crab. Super easy compared to all our other ones, right? Yeah. So, what do you notice about my crab? Does it look like the other animals we got to see today? No, huh? What do you notice? Yeah, you might notice this kind of exoskeleton going on around it, kind of like an outer shell. Exactly. Crabs have a shell all around their body, and that's really, really awesome. And also, what do you see about these legs? Do they bend? Yeah, they have something jointed limbs, and that's actually where they get their name from. Or not crab, but arthropods, which is, I know, another big word, and we won't have to worry about that too much. But that's why they're called arthropods, because they have these jointed legs that allow them to bend, right? Like how we bend our arms and our legs to move around. So, do you think a crab kind of slides around the ground like a sea star? Or do they walk more? Yeah, they walk. Definitely. I mean, they have the legs to move around for it, right? What else do we notice about my crab friend right here? Look at that beautiful little face. Isn't that the cutest face you've ever seen? Yeah, definitely. It's got some funky eyes too, right? We got our eyes all the way out here. Now, do those eyes look like your eyes? No, they look a little different. And actually, if I'm correct, I believe this is actually one of our Japanese spider crabs that we have here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. Let's talk a little bit about those spider crabs. So, first, where do you think spider crabs live? Do you think they live really close to the surface near us? Or do you think they live way down deep in the water? Yeah, they live way deep in the water. They live in the deep sea, so they can live as far down as 2,000 feet. That's really deep. We could have really swum down there. That's too much for us. But for our spider crabs, that's the most ideal conditions. I'm going to scoot over here. And we could get another look at our spider crab right there. Super, super cool. A little funny looking. Now, it's a little hard to see in this picture, but our spider crabs can get really, really big. Do you know how big they can get? Throw out a number. Guess. Whoa, those are some really close guesses. They can get as big as 12 feet. That's way bigger than me. And of course, they're kind of crouching down a little bit with their jointed legs. But they're really, really big animals that live really, really deep in the water. Isn't that awesome? All right, so we got A for angelfish, B for bat star, and C for crab. What letter comes next? E. A. Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Did you say D? Then you're right. I'm getting mixed up, everybody. All right. So it's A, B, C, and D. Right. D is our next letter. Can you think of any animals that start with the letter D? Let's see what we have. Look at this cutie right next to me. It's a duck. Duck. All right, we're going to spell that out. Ready? D-U-C-K. Duck. Duck. Awesome. So this friend right here is a very cute, adorable bufflehead duck. So let's talk about this friend right here. What do you notice right off the bat? We got to see a lot of different colors today. Do you see kind of the same colors as before? No, they're totally different than all the other colors we got to see, right? Yeah. I'm going to move over here so we can get a closer look. There we go. Perfect. What colors do you see? I see black, I see white, and I see a little bit of gray mixed in there. Do you see those colors too? Right on. So our bufflehead ducks usually only just have these colors. Not super, super vibrant like our angelfish, right? Or as different as our bat stars, even as red as our crabs. But that's okay. Our ducks don't care too much about colors here, at least for the buffleheads. Let's see. What else do we notice? Do they look big or small? Small. They totally look small. Actually, here's a little fun fact of our bufflehead ducks. They're the smallest diving ducks in North America. So what's a diving duck? Can you guess? Yeah, it's a duck that dives. So they will dive into the water. That's how they get their food, right? They're kind of waterfowl, so they hang out more around the water, right? I mean, where are we seeing this duck right here? Is he on land or is he swimming? He's swimming, exactly. So they spend a lot of time in the water, and because they get their food in the water, they have to be able to swim. Now, they don't have to swim all the time, but just enough to go grab their food, right? Totally. So they're diving ducks. And again, they are the smallest ones here in North America. And they're super cute. If you ever get a chance to see one, totally take some time to appreciate them. And also, again, note how small they are. We have some here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. If you ever get a chance to visit, you can check them out at our shorebirds exhibit, where you'll be able to see our bufflehead ducks, and all the other shorebird neighbors. But I'm not done with our bufflehead duck yet. There's still more to talk about our friend. So, we see their color. We know they're small. And we know that they hang out in the water to grab their food. Now, do you know what birds tend to do in the winter? Yeah, migrate. So, bufflehead ducks will also migrate. And they tend to migrate all the way to down here in Southern California during the winter. So we see them here when winter gets too cold farther up north. And they'll just hang out down here because, well, winters don't get too cold for us down here. But that is our bufflehead duck. So far we've talked about angelfish. We've talked about bat stars. We've talked about crabs. And we've talked about ducks. So let's see. That is 4 letters, right? We got A, B, C, and D. What's the next letter? I know I said it earlier because I got mixed up. But do you know the next letter? Yes! E! A, B, C, D, and E. And I have a very, very fun friend right here. Do you know what this animal is? Might be a little hard. It kind of looks like a worm or a really weird fish. Well, this is an eel. E for eel. All right? Do you know how to spell eel? Let's do it together. E-E-L. Eel. Probably the easiest one we'll do today, right? All right. So this friend right here is actually a very special type of eel. This is a garden eel. Now, hearing the name garden eel, what do you think of right away? Yeah, something that might look like it's in the garden, right? So if it's called a garden eel, how could it have gotten that name? Well, let's make some observations first, right? First, what do we notice about my eel friend right behind me? Or next to me? Kind of looks a little skinny, right? A little small. That's because garden eels are really small, and they could be like tiny, maybe a little longer. But they're super tiny animals, and how they got their name is because they kind of pop out of the ground like plants, like in a garden. Now, if we were to see a field of garden eels, we'd just be seeing these friends kind of go down and then pop back up, and then they'll go back down, and then they'll pop back up. And they just kind of keep doing that all the time. They'll pop out to kind of see what's going on around them. And they also pop out to get food, of course. But why would they hide under the sand? To hide from big predators? Yeah, totally. Oh, here's an awesome video. I'm going to move to the side so we can get a load of these guys. Look at how they move. And again, notice how they're in the sand. Kind of like grass almost. Right now, we can see them grabbing food. That stuff floating around, that's probably some zooplankton like brine shrimp. Or maybe even phytoplankton like algae that they're kind of nipping about. So, those are our garden eels right behind me doing their thing. Super cute. Alright, so A for angelfish, B for bat star, C for crab, D for duck, E for eel. Now, what comes after E? F. What animals start with F? Do you know any? Let's see what we have. Let's see if your answer is the same as the friend that we're going to get coming up right behind me in just a little bit. All right? And then, if you have any questions about any of the animals we're talking about today, you can go ahead and text those questions at 562-286-1838. That's if you're watching us live at 9:23 a.m. on September 30th, Pacific Standard Time, of course. But if you're watching after the fact and you still have questions, want to share some facts that I didn't mention that you know, you could go ahead and send those over to live@lbalp.org. Now, it looks like my friend joined us right here. Who's this right here? Yeah, a frog. Frog. F-R-O-G. Frog. Frog. All right. This friend right here is specifically a dart frog. So these frogs are actually a very special size. Guess, are they big or are they small? Here's a hint. This guy's on a leaf. So do you think a big frog could hang out on a leaf like this? No, right? So that means our frog is going to be small. And actually, most dart frogs are really, really tiny. But that doesn't stop them from being super awesome and even super poisonous for some of our dart frogs. So, what colors do you also notice on my friend right here? Yeah, you see some black, we see some red, and some white. If you have bright colors, does that mean that you're probably safe to eat or dangerous to eat? Dangerous to eat, totally. So, dart frogs hold their toxin in their skin. And they actually get that from what they eat. So kind of that term you might have heard it before, you are what you eat. That's how it goes for dart frogs. They'll eat insects, they'll have poison in them, and they basically absorb it, and it goes into their skin. Just like another animal that we see in the ocean, but I don't know if we'll be able to get to that friend today. Anyways, our dart frogs right here, super toxic. So you definitely don't want to eat one of these guys. So they're probably too small to really get full, right? All right. So we have our dart frog. Let's see. What else do we notice? Does it have eyes like you? Or hands like you? No. What do we notice about its hand? I know I'm kind of blocking this friend right over here. What do those hands look like? Do they look like your hands? Not really. Do they work like our hands? No. That's because frogs have sticky hands. So that's why they're able to kind of jump and like hang onto a rock, a piece of tree, or even just the wall. That'd be pretty fun. I wish I could have sticky hands. I'd be crawling everywhere. And I'm sure you probably would be too, right? Doesn't it sound fun? Totally. All right. So that's going to be it for our time with our dart frog. And we have a few more minutes. So we're going to get one more animal in here, all right? So I'm going to step just to the side real quick. All right, so we got through A for angelfish, B for bat star, C for crab, D for duck, and E for eel, F for frog. What's next? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Exactly, G. What animals do you know that start with G? Ooh, those are good ones. Let's see who my friend is today. Ooh, one of my favorites. This is a fish, again, but it's a very special kind of fish. Do you know who this friend is? This is a Garibaldi. Say that with me. Garibaldi. I know, a long one. And we're going to spell it out too. Ready? Garibaldi. Garibaldi. And this really fun friend is actually our state fish here in California. So, if you want a fish to represent you here in California, this is your guy. But what do we notice about our fish? Do we see grays and blacks, kind of like our duck? Or do we see more brighter colors, like our angelfish? Yeah, it's a really, really bright, what? Orange. Exactly. It's really bright orange. And there's a very special reason for that. That color, just like our dart frog, is a warning. It serves as a warning for predators to not mess with it. Because the thing about Garibaldi is they might not be toxic, but they are very territorial. And they will fight whoever gets in their area. Sometimes they even do it with our giant sea bass here at the aquarium. They kind of nip at their tails if the sea bass are hanging out in their area, and they won't let the sea bass rest. But that's because the Garibaldi is like, this is my space. Nobody, because I got to keep it nice and clean. All right, we're almost done. So we're going to keep talking about this Garibaldi just a little bit. Hang on tight, and then we'll do a little recap. Sound good? All right. Another thing about Garibaldi is where it lives. So we know it's a California state fish. Does that mean it lives here off of the coast of California? Yeah. It lives in our kelp forests. Those are underwater forests made up of huge kelp. And it looks like it sounds, an underwater forest. A lot of animals live, especially the Garibaldi. And again, super easy to spot because of that bright orange color. Exactly. So, looking at this friend right here, do you think he's big or pretty small? Yeah, pretty small. But that doesn't mean that he's any less awesome, right? We talked actually about quite a few different small animals today, and some bigger ones. Now, why don't we do a recap on all those animals that we talked about? Just a quick run through our ABCs, right? We had A for angelfish, B for bat star, C for crab, D for duck, and E for eel, F for frog, and G for Garibaldi. All right, that's all our time for today for our ABCs under the sea. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any other observations or questions you want to share, you can email those at live@lbaop.org. But until then, we'll catch you on the next time. Bye!